What is good, YouTube? It's your boy Adroit Talks coming to you with the final mock draft a day before the actual NFL draft. I have two special colleagues of mine who will be assisting me with this mock draft. They're absolutely excellent. They know exactly what they're talking about. But with the draft being tomorrow, this will be the last one. I know you guys have enjoyed the series for everybody who's been keeping up with it. And again, we will be live tomorrow for the actual NFL draft. So come kick it with us. We want to go ahead and let these guys introduce themselves. First up, we have
Oh, hey, how you doing? Kind of new to this whole draft thing, but we do know a lot about sports, and just not football, basketball, baseball. Give us a follow on Instagram, Champagne Sports. If not,
What's going on, guys? This is Eagles Trek here. Follow me on Instagram at Eagles Trek. Excited to be here again. This is my third time doing this. Let's get started.
let's go, let's go, let's go. All right. So, of course, you guys know that we use Pro Football Focus. Let's get this show on the road. There it goes. All right. With the number one overall pick, I have the Carolina Panthers selecting Heisman Trophy winner Bryce Young. I believe that Bryce Young is the number one quarterback in this year's draft. In my opinion, he's the number one player in this year's draft. Again, he won a Heisman. He has that it factor. I watched the interview with him that he did with Channing Taylor and Ryan Clark, and he just got that special gift that you can't really quantify. And I think the Panthers really lose out if they don't select him number one overall. Next up, we got the Texans. You're on the clock.
Okay, so usually I would go quarterback here, most likely CJ Stroud, but recent rumors are circulating, so I'm gonna go and pick Will Anderson Jr. here. Boost up that
Woo!
defense. They got a good defense, so boost it up some more and get your quarterback maybe a different year.
Great pickup here. We're gonna have a quick look at Will Anderson Jr.'s stats. Pro Football Focus gave him an 83.6 overall grade this last season, and the year before that, he got an 89.8. The guy's an absolute freak, posting up 14 sacks his final year. That's with other teams having a scouting report of his prior year. The guy's an absolute beast, and he'll have an immediate impact at the next level. Next up, we have the Cardinals. You are on the clock.
so Will Anderson's gone, obviously. So I think that this is a perfect trade-up scenario. Team that wants to grab a quarterback for the Colts, CJ Stroud, fallen, Anthony Richardson fallen. I think the Bucks go and trade up Devin White a few picks and try to snag this pick. And with that pick, if they do trade up, I think they go Anthony Richardson. Think he is the best quarterback in this class. Others might disagree, but a lot of like Cam Newton comparisons, I see that in him, and he's already in a ready to win offense. So that's where I think that this pick is going to end up.
All right, we got to negotiate a trade with this Bucks pick. Did you want to do the 19th pick and what else?
Devin White, and I
Devin
think
White.
that they can snag a third round pick as well.
That is a pretty solid pickup right there. First round for this year or next year? I'm sorry,
This
third
year,
round for
this
this
year,
year or
yeah,
next year?
this year's first.
All right, it's looking like the trade will likely be accepted. Offer trade. Trade accepted. Buccaneers are now on the clock, and they're going with Anthony Richardson. Let's have a quick look at his stats this past season and the year before. Anthony Richardson has an 80 Pro Football Focus grade. He finished out this past season posting up 2,553 yards, 7.7 yards per attempt, 17 tutties, and 9 interceptions. One thing that Pro Football Focus did not include is his rushing yards. The guy's an absolute tank out there. The Cam Newton comparisons are granted. And now we have the Colts on the clock, which is me here. And I think the Colts go ahead and select another quarterback off the board. Now, this quarterback, I don't believe he's the second best quarterback in this year's draft, but The Colts absolutely fell in love with a prospect, and when teams fall in love with a guy, there's no telling them to go with anybody else. I mean, we had Mitch Trubinsky getting drafted #1 overall a few years ago. So Will Levis is going to be the pick here for the Colts. Next up, we have the Seattle Seahawks on the clock.
Okay, well, I was thinking quarterback here, but Tampa Bay unfortunately traded up and took my guy. So I'm gonna go back to the defensive side of the ball. I'm gonna go Tyree Wilson. I think Jalen Carter falls a little farther in his draft. Tyree Wilson's long arms, athletic, physical, strong, fast. He could really do it all. So playing any defensive scheme. So why not go and get a guy that's gonna help you win some games in the trenches?
Absolutely amazing. Pro Football Focus gave him a 75 grade this past year. He had 8 sacks on the season, 10 hits, and 32 hurries. That's absolutely ridiculous. The guy's an absolute freak of nature out there. His wingspan is like the size of a car, man. He's a beast of an athlete. Next up, we have the Lions. You are officially on the clock.
So Lions, I mean, I feel they're a pretty good team, a few pieces away from the playoffs, and we do know that they do want defense. They do this on the draft, so we're gonna go Chris Gonzalez. He's gonna definitely fit there after Jeff Kuda left, and hopefully he's not a bust.
Great pickup for them. Christian Gonzalez, Pro Football Focus gave him an 83.3 grade, and he only gave up three touchdowns on the season with 4 interceptions that he got, and he only gave up 39 receptions, and he was only targeted 64 times. The guy has great fundamentals, and I believe that he can make an immediate impact at the next level. Next up, we have the Raiders on the clock, and I believe that is me right here. I have the Raiders. They're going to go ahead and make a trade here. I believe that where are they at? Okay, I'm just going to offer this trade since they're not my other team. So with this pick, I'm going to offer the Eagles because I have a feeling that the Eagles want to move up to get a specific person. There you go. Eagles 10,
Absolutely.
7. Um, next year, second and a fourth, I believe that is. Oh man, they're not interested. All right. I thought this would have worked, but it's not going through.
Wow, Howie Roseman's not trying to look like a punk and get finessed. I don't know.
Well, does anybody else want to make a trade? Any other teams?
I don't. Hmm. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I see the Eagles. I think if they do make a trade, it's for Henry. I don't know if they want to trade up.
Okay. Since that Eagles trade didn't go through, I'm going to go ahead and select a player here for the Raiders. With everybody who's available, I think that the Raiders could definitely use a game changer that doesn't have off the field issues. So I think they're going to kind of play it smart. And if they do have a pick, they're going to pick Kalijah Cansey out of Pittsburgh. Guy was an absolute freak of nature out there on the football field. His tape doesn't even look real, man. Looks like he's playing Madden. Pro Football Focus gave him a 91 grade in this past season. They gave him 8 sacks on the season, 9 hits, and 30 hurries. Absolutely ridiculous. The guy the tank out there. Next, we have the Falcons. You're on the clock.
Uh, I mean, Jalen Carter's there for the taking, so why not take him? I mean, uh, the Raiders, they literally could have taken Tyree Wilson, but they didn't. So why not go ahead and snag a guy when your defense has been struggling for the past years getting to the quarterback, and you got I feel like is a generational defensive lineman on the board still. So I'm gonna go ahead and snag Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter is definitely a generational talent. My comparison was Aaron Donald. This guy, normally you see other prospects, especially at his position, have 3 or 4 highlights a game. You'll watch his tape. You'll see 3 or 4 highlights in a single series. This guy's an absolute game changer. He'll wreck an entire game. Finish the season with 3 sacks, 5 hits, 24 hurries. But the stats really don't do him justice, as the Georgia Bulldogs defense was absolutely immaculate, and he opened up a lot of avenues for other guys to get hurries, to get hits, and to get tackles for losses. The guy's an absolute monster out there, and he was beating triple blocks by himself. Next up, we got the Bears. You're on the clock.
So we just saw Jalen Carter go to the Falcons thing in Georgia. I think I'm gonna do the same thing with Devon Witherspoon, best corner I think of the draft, and falls for the Bears after they had the first pick. Yeah, I mean, great player, definitely a good team fit for the Bears.
Great pickup for him. Pro Football Focus gave him a 92 grade, which I believe is the highest out of all the prospects here. Um, He only allowed 22 receptions and was targeted 62 times. This guy's an absolute monster out there, and he's a game changer. He hits hard. He plays coverage hard. He presses at the line. He plays off coverage. He can do it all. He looks complete. It'll be absolutely amazing to see what he does at the next level. Right here, I have the Eagles, which I was going to do a pick for, but Eagles track, you got this, man.
Okay, well, uh, I just picked Jalen Carter beforehand, so he's obviously gone. I know the Eagles love him. I mean, right now they're gearing up to trade up if he falls. So, but there's a guy here that I still like. I'm gonna take Bijan Robinson, get him in RPOs with Jalen Hurts. That offense, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, Dallas Goddard behind that O line. You can't stop it.
You cannot stop it. I had a feeling you were going to pick him. In correction, I thought that the last player had the highest Pro Football Focus grade, but this guy's a 95.3, which is 3 points above Devin Witherspoon's. This guy's an absolute monster out there. I've seen ex pros compare him to Adrian Peterson with a little bit of Le'Veon Bell with the jump cuts. This guy's absolutely going to be a game changer. If he falls to the Eagles, there's no way they don't make the Super Bowl the next 3 years. This guy's an absolute monster. So we got Robinson coming off the board. Tennessee Titans, I'm going to go ahead and take over right here for this team. I do believe that they have a lot of position needs, and they're actually trying to get rid of Derrick Henry, but I think that he may finish out his contract. So I think they're going to select a player that can play multiple positions on the field, and this player is Peter Skorinski. Next up, we have the Texans. Champagne, you're on the clock.
It hurts my heart seeing Robinson go to the Eagles because I'm hoping, I'm praying that he falls to the Cowboys, but I think that's a great pickup. And honestly, the Texans, it's a dream scenario because you get Stroud now. You passed on quarterback, you got Tyree Wilson, and now you get, I think, a top 3 quarterback. So there you go.
Yes, sir. You get the quarterback you were looking for at a discounted rate, basically. CJ Stroud finished off the season throwing 3,600 yards, 41 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions on the season. And he had an absolutely amazing game against Georgia that really lifted up his draft stock. This guy, he said he's not a test taker, which is why he only scored an 18 on that S2 cognitive test that really dropped his draft stock. But he's a game changer. Next up, we got the Packers with the trade that they made with the Jets here on the clock, which is going to be back me again, equals track. And I have the Packers selecting a wide receiver with this pick. This wide receiver is my wide receiver one. He's a lot of people's wide receiver one. His name is Jackson Smith-Njigba, who is getting drafted directly after his teammate. He did have a down year, mainly due to injuries, but the year before, Pro Football Focus gave him a 91 grade. He caught, goodness gracious, he caught 95 passes and had 1,500 yards, almost 1,600 yards in his junior campaign. Jackson Smith-Njigba is off the board. Patriots, you are on the clock. That's back to you, Eagles.
So let's see who's available. So Patriots, they kind of need a lot of needs. Wide receiver, they could technically go tight end, they could go D line. Um, at this point, I would like to go wide receiver. And get Mac Jones some help if he's going to be a quarterback of the future. I'm not sure if they're like too in love with him right now, but why not get him some help, see what he can do this year, and if he's still bad, then you move on next year. So I will go out and I can see a player like Jordan Addison being picked here. This seems like a typical Bill Belichick move. So why not go get Jordan Addison? I thought he was absolutely electric in college. So let's see if it can translate to the NFL.
He was. Now he did have a down year, just like the last wide receiver. But the year before, Pro Football Focus gave him an 88 grade. He had 100 receptions that year and had 1,500 yards. This guy's an absolute game changer. His route running is there. As far as complete wide receivers goes in this draft, I think he is the most complete, the most all around, and he's off the board. Next up, we got the Jets. Champagne is on you.
So the Jets, I mean, interesting team. You just got Aaron Rodgers. I think they have enough weapons, and I think they're gonna go with, well, in my opinion, is a top tackle in this class, and that's Broderick Jones. It's gonna come in there, defend, protect Rodgers. I mean, and yeah, I think that's where the Jets gonna end up going with.
Great pick up there. Broderick Jones, in my opinion, he has the quickest feet out of any O lineman in this year's draft. He's an absolute monster. Gave up no sacks this past season, only 2 hits on the quarterback and allowed 7 hurries. This guy's an absolute tank out there. His tape was amazing. And not to mention, this guy did everything that I just mentioned before against the best competition in college football. Next up, we have the Commanders, which is me. And right here, I have the Commanders selecting a quarterback. This quarterback is another prospect that a team fell in love with. His name is Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker, he finished out his last season with the Volunteers with a 90 Pro Football Focus grade. Also, he had 3,100 yards, 27 tutties, and 2 interceptions. Out of all the quarterbacks that we will probably have going in the first round, I believe he has the highest hurdle to climb, as his system that he ran in college is very different from the system he'll be running at the next level. But the Commanders, there's reports that they absolutely love this guy, and there's no way that he drops out of the top 20 picks in this year's draft. Next up, we have the Steelers. You're on the clock, Eagles.
I think this is just too simple. I think you go Joey Porter Jr. His dad played for the Steelers, so why not continue that storyline? Really great player at Penn State. He was very physical. He can cover. He can pretty much do everything. So why not go ahead and get him? Boost up that secondary.
Preach. Pro Football Focus gave him a 73 grade. I absolutely agree with what you just said. Next up, we have the Lions. You are on the clock.
The Lions again. I mean, last time the earlier pick got grabbed the corner, and I think just keep building on that defense. I mean, if Nolan
Hang on.
Smith is there, you take Nolan Smith.
Damn it. Okay, Nolan Smith is off the clock. I
Oh,
was going to offer a trade. Nolan
okay,
Smith is
okay.
off the clock. One of the best edge rushers. No, it's perfectly fine. One of the best edge rushers in this year's draft. He is a member of that Georgia defense that I was speaking about earlier. And he finished the season with 2 sacks, 5 hits, and 12 hurries. The guy's an absolute monster. Nolan Smith is off of the board. Next up, we have the Cardinals. Now, right here, I'm going to go ahead and offer a trade. There are talks about the Cardinals not wanting to keep D Hop. So right here, I'm going to be a Denver Broncos fan and try to nudge my way in here, and I'm going to offer them Cortland Sutton, a third round for this 19th pick, and I'll throw in another third round next year. Okay. Maybe a second round. Okay, not interested. Okay. All right. Looks like that trade isn't going to go through. Oh, trade accepted. All right. I didn't force it. My Denver Broncos were able to get in the first round of this year's draft. Cortland Sutton, you're out of there, buddy. All right. So next, I believe that if my Denver Broncos do wind up getting to this position in the draft, we go ahead and get one of the best DBs in this year's draft. His name is Emmanuel Forbes. Let's have a quick look at Emmanuel Forbes, Pro Football Focus grade and his stats on the season. Pro Football Focus gave him an 87 grade this past season. He only allowed 3 touchdowns and he caught 6 picks, was targeted 53 times and gave up 31 receptions. The guy has a build fit for the NFL, and he'll be an absolute game changer right beside Pat Surtain the second. Next up, we have the Seahawks with the next pick.
I think this is too simple. I think you go Paris Johnson. He's still on the board. Boost up the offensive line. You want D line, or you go O line.
Absolute beast out there. He's a refrigerator. He's hard to move. Only allowed 2 sacks, only allowed 3 sacks in his entire collegiate career, which is amazing. And only gave up 12 hurries on this past season. This guy is going to be a game changer at the next level, and he's a plug and play player. You don't have to worry about him transitioning too much. Next up, we have the Chargers. You're on the clock, Champagne.
For sure. So I mean, Chargers. I've been hearing some rumors about Austin Eckler. I won't act on those rumors. Just putting that out there. But honestly, for this team, I do think that they do need more. They have a lot of offense. They have Herbert, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. So they're gonna grab Miles Murphy and hopefully build on that defense that's gonna take them to playoffs.
I love that pick. Miles Murphy, he posted up a 79 Pro Football Focus grade, which was his lowest grade of his entire collegiate career. But this guy's an absolute game changer. Every single year, he showed different pass rush moves, and he gave the offensive lineman that was guarding him something different to look at almost every time he lined up against him. Miles Murphy, great pickup for the Chargers. Next up, we have the Ravens, which is me here on the board. Does anybody want to make a trade? Actually, I know who wants to make a trade. All right, so right here, I am going to have the Cardinals make another move since they just got Cortland Sutton. They're going to trade D Hop, this 22nd pick, a first round next year. Yeah. So D Hop for a second round. Sorry. D Hop for a first. D Hop for a first and a third in next year's draft. Cardinals accept. And I believe that the Cardinals will select one of the best players in this year's draft. And they are going to go with, where is he at? I was going to pick DeJuan Jones, who's an absolute tank. But on second glance, there he goes. Brian Brees is going to be the player that I have the Cardinals select here with this pick. Brian Brees, one of the best defensive linemen in this year's draft. Pro Football Focus gave him a 73 grade. He had 3 sacks on the quarterback. He only got 4 hits, but had 17 hurries on the past season. The guy's an absolute run stopper, and he clogs up every single lane that he's in. Next up, we have the Vikings. You're on the clock.
Okay, well, I think this is simple. I was gonna go Deontay Banks, but I kinda like the fit of Brian Branch here. I think I'm gonna go Brian Branch. He can play hybrid safety. He can come down playing a slot, playing the nickel. He can really just do it all for you. So why not get a guy that's diverse on defense and go ahead and take Brian Branch?
Preach. Pro Football Focus gave him an 89 grade. He has 74 tackles on the season, 15 assisted tackles. And this guy was an absolute game changer out there for Alabama's defense. Brian Branch is officially off the board. Next up, we have the Jags. You're on the clock.
So the Jags, I think, interesting position. You know, they have a young team ready to. I mean, in the middle of a rebuild, but I do see a player that's falling, and I don't know why he's falling. Maybe you guys do, but Quentin Johnson, I think he's the best receiver of this class, and you know, just get Trevor Lawrence some help. You know, he has a good O line, he has a good defense. You know, give him some more weapons, and I think they might make some noise. You know.
Definitely. Quentin Johnston did fall a little bit in this draft. He did have 60 receptions this past season, finished the season with 1,067 yards and 6 touchdowns. The guy's an absolute game changer. Now, one of the reasons why he probably dropped, and me, Eagles, you probably can agree with me. Um, in college, when I looked at his tape, I seen that he ran 5 routes, and he ran two of these routes 60% of the time. If it wasn't a fly, it was a drag. And at the next level, I think he may have a little bit of an issue running a post route or a slant even. But that's the main reason why I didn't have him going so early in this year's draft. But he is a very dynamic player, and yeah,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I agree with you. It's just that I think that's just TCU's overall offense. I mean, I know
reach.
there was a player. He's a different position. His name was LT. Same criticisms going into the draft. So we're just gonna hope he does good in the NFL. You know.
Facts. You're preaching. You're preaching. Next up, we got the Giants, which is me here. And do you guys want to make a trade with any team before I offer one? All right. I think that in this year's draft, the Giants will try to move back in this position to get more draft capital. But I believe that they will make a trade here as they have a lot of positions to fill and their needs are really stacked. If you ask me, there's a lot of a specific tier wide receivers that are going to be available at 25. And there's a lot of these safeties that's going to be available in the same tier at this pick as well. Now, they could go with the best linebacker in this year's draft, which is Jack Campbell here. But I definitely do believe that they will field some trades here. And wow, I didn't even have to scroll to find the team. So I believe the Kansas City Chiefs will attempt to move. They'll do a pick swap in a next year's third to try to move up in this year's draft. And I believe that the Kansas City Chiefs will select Zay Flowers. One of the main reasons why I say Zay Flowers is nobody knows where Zay Flowers is going to drop in this year's draft. His tape is immaculate. He can make every single route, and he's a game changer. And this is something that I believe that the Chiefs are going to need, especially since they lost McCole Hardman. And I think he's a plug and play player in their system. And yeah. Next up, we got the Cowboys. I believe we do have a Cowboys fan in here. I think Champagne's the Cowboys fan.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, you can take this pick, bro.
Okay, I appreciate it. My bad. I'm like having some technical difficulties, but
You're good.
so I mean the Cowboys. It's tough because I know we need a tight end. I know the fans want a tight end, but I know Jerry more than the fans. So give us Jameer Gibbs. We need a. I know we're gonna have to reinforce that backfield after we lost Zeke. So I think that's a great fit for us, and I know Jerry loves him. So it's either him
Excellent.
or there. You go.
Oh, sorry. Excellent fit. Nice replacement for Zeke. As Tony Pollard may become running back one for the team, I think Jameer Gibbs can definitely share carries with him as he can do everything Tony Pollard can do. But he's a little bit better at run blocking, if you ask me. Jameer Gibbs is off of the board here in our draft. Next up, we have the Bills.
Okay, well, I'm not even going to oversimplify this. I think it's offensive line. You got to protect Josh Allen. I think that's one of the reasons why they have not been successful in the playoffs. I'm going to go Anton Harrison.
Great pickup out of Oklahoma. Anton had an amazing career for the Sooners. Pro Football Focus gave him a 72 grade his past year. He only gave up 4 sacks his entire collegiate career, zero hits this past season and only 8 hurries this past season. If there wasn't anything consistent about the Sooners last year, it was him. Next up, we have the Bengals. You're on the clock, which is me, and I'm going to have them select the best tight end, in my opinion, in this year's draft, and his name is Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame. Michael Mayer posted a Pro Football Focus grade of a 92.5, and he caught 67 passes on 809 yards with 9 tutties. This guy's an absolute dog out there, and I think that Joe Burrow can definitely find a safer target out there at the tight end position if he utilizes Michael Mayer. Next up, we have the Saints on the clock. Champagne.
Okay, for sure, for sure. Honestly, with the Saints, I see a team. Not to offend Saints fans, but I don't think they're gonna be good for a little bit. So I feel like they could trade Kamara and move up, but I think it's too late for that. So I mean, we're already here. Let him grab a Darnell Wright, and maybe he could defend Carr, and maybe they can see some success. But I think that's the pick they go with.
Great pickup here. Darnell Wright was one of the bright spots for the Volunteers offensive line. Pro Football Focus gave him a 71 grade. He didn't allow a single sack this past season, only 2 hits on the quarterback and 6 hurries for an entire season. That is extremely impressive. Next up, we have the Eagles. Eagles track, you could take that if you want to.
Okay, well, there's a lot of good players left here. I'm very surprised that Lucas Van Ness fell this far. I
Me
don't
too.
necessarily see him as a top 10 pick, but this is good value for him. However, I'm not going to take him. I'm going to go to Edge, and I'm going to take the Edge from Northwestern. I think he's a very, very good player. The Eagles been linked to him. He's, athletic, fast, everything that the Eagles look for on defense. So I'm going to go ahead and take him.
Nice pickup. He had 6 sacks this past season, 3 hits on the quarterback, and 22 hurries. He is a great player. I wish that I could pronounce his name on draft night. I will definitely learn it. But we have the Giants on the clock, which is going to be me. And I believe that the Giants have a lot of positions of need, but biggest thing I think they need is a replacement for Sterling Shepard. And I think they go with, in my opinion, the best route runner in this year's draft, which is Nathaniel Dell. Let's have a quick look at his stats this past season. Pro Football Focus gave him a grade of an 83. He had 108 receptions with almost 1,400 yards and 17 touchdowns for the Cougars this past year. Nathaniel Dell is going to be one of the bright spots. Now, I made a mistake in making this a 2-round mock draft. If you guys want to continue, we definitely can, or we could just end it here.
I mean, I'm good right now. I mean, we can keep going. It's up to Eagles if he wants to.
I'm down for the other round. Doesn't matter.
Cool, cool, cool. All right. Next up, we have the Steelers. Eagles track, you're on the clock.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and take Lucas Van Ness. He's right there. I don't think he falls past the top 5 in the second round if he falls that far. Pair him up with TJ Watt. Defense is looking lethal. You got Joey Porter Jr. in the first round.
Great pickup for the Steelers. Luke Van Ness posted an 80 grade for Pro Football Focus, 9 sacks on the quarterback, 6 hits and 31 hurries. Luke Van Ness is a game changer. He'll have an immediate impact at the next level. Texans, you're on the clock.
Okay, for sure. So for Texans, got CJ Stroud this draft, got Tyree Wilson, and honestly, I think you just got to start protecting CJ Stroud. It's a good start, and I forget his name. He's the kid from Florida. I I think it's
Osiris or
yeah,
Osiris.
him. So Osiris for yeah, I've seen him. He's a pretty good defender. He can protect rushing quarterbacks like you've seen with the AR-15. So let him go with the to the Texans in the second round.
Osiris is a great pickup for them. As you can see here, the guy didn't give up a single sack his entire collegiate career, which is almost unheard of. didn't give up a single hit last year and only 8 hurries. Osiris Torrance is going to be a game changer at the next level. Next up, we have the Cardinals, which is me. I do believe that they're going to try to get the best player available, and they are going to get Deontay Banks with this particular draft pick right here. Deontay Banks posted a Pro Football Focus grade of a 72 this past season, only gave up 4 touchdowns, and he only allowed 26 out of 60 passes to get caught on him. Deontay Banks is going to be pretty nice at the next level, and I think he fits the system that the Cardinals want to run next year to a T. Next up, we have the Colts on the clock.
Okay, well, Colts in the first round took a quarterback. I think that their pass game is very lackluster. Although they could go offensive line, they can go defensive line, they can go corner. But I think the best player in this position group is still on the board, which is Dalton Kincaid. Why not go and get your quarterback weapon? I feel like he can do it all, so that has to be the pick.
Great pickup for them. Pro Football Focus gave him a 90.2 grade. He had 70 receptions on the past season and 890 yards. I think that's a great pickup for them. Next up, we have the Rams on the clock.
Yeah, and the Rams here are interesting. I think that they're a team that, in their mind, are still contenders. And honestly, I think they could be a contender. Their NFC's wide open. So I feel like this is going to be a trade out spot for the Rams. And they're going to, I know you said earlier, Derrick Henry's going to play out his contract. But if there's an opening, the Rams could snag him. They do need a running back. And yeah, I feel like they're going to start trading their picks again, for Super Bowls. But it is what you got to do. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a second round pick. I think they can get him with a second, a third, and a future second, and I think that should be good enough for the Titans.
All right, let's see what Pro Football Focus does. Boom, trade accepted. So Derrick Henry just got traded for a second, a third, and next year's second to the Rams. Absolutely blockbuster move, but a great move. I love the way you broke that down. We got the Titans on the clock.
And now the Titans have traded Derrick Henry. I feel like they just have to go best player available, and I think at this point is Dewan Jones from Ohio State. Start building for the future. Maybe next year they can get the kid from USC, Caleb Williams. So just start getting him ready for the NFL.
Great pickup. Now, Dewan Jones did not give up a sack this past season, didn't give up a single hurry, and only gave up five. I'm sorry, didn't give up a single hit and only gave up 5 hurries. I did want to, I wish it showed how tall this guy is. If I remember correctly, Dewan Jones is 6'8" and he's 340. Yeah, 378. This guy's an absolute monster of a person. And just to give people a, a quick little breakdown of what that looks like. Um, Calais Campbell is an absolute freak out there on the football field. He's 6'8", but Calais Campbell only weighs 340. And Dewan Jones is bigger than him. And it, he doesn't look like a real person if you ever see this guy. He looks like a game generated person. But next up, we have the Seattle Seahawks, which is a pick that they got from my Broncos. It is me on the clock here. I definitely believe that they try to get the best center off the board here, which is John Schmitz out of Minnesota. And now John Schmitz, a pretty smart guy when he had his career for the Gophers. Pro Football Focus gave him a 92 grade, only allowed 2 sacks this past season, only allowed 2 sacks his entire collegiate career, 1 hit and only 5 hurries. He was the leader of their offensive line, and I think he'll be a great addition to Seattle. Next up, we have the Raiders on the clock.
Okay, well, the Raiders need a lot of work. I wanted to look at offensive linemen, see what the board's looking like, because they just need a lot of work. I feel like I should go tackle here, just see who's available, and I think that's who it is. From North Dakota State University, I think they go tackle here. Jimmy G's coming there, assuming that they want to, make a run for the playoffs in a stacked AFC, especially in their division. So you got to get, some people to protect your quarterback.
Great pickup here. Cody only gave up 2 sacks in his entire collegiate career, just like the last fellow. 2 hits and 6 hurries on the season. I love that pickup for the Raiders, even though I don't like them. Next up, we got the Panthers with the next pick.
Yeah, and the Panthers saw picked up Bryce Young earlier, and honestly, here I think they give him. I think they get a weapon for him. I mean, I don't think that there's many. There's a lot of elite receivers left, but I think they do go tight end here, and I think they do go Darnell Washington from Georgia, national champ. And they bring in some
Game
winning.
changer.
Yeah, for sure.
Game changer. Sorry I cut you off there, bro.
No, you're
Darnell
good. You're good.
Washington. His stats really don't show a big picture here, mainly because he was a backup to one of the most dynamic tight ends in college football last year. But he finished the season with 28 receptions, 454 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 16.2. One of the biggest things with Darnell is the fact that he is 6'6", 264, and he has an extremely long wingspan. Next up, we have the Saints, which is going to be me here. I think the Saints try to address a real position of need here. And give me 1 second. Let me have a quick look at who's on this team at the linebacker position. Mario Davis, Pete Warner, Shaq Smith. If I'm a Saints fan, I would want Jack Campbell to pair up with their starting middle linebacker. But right here, I definitely believe that they would either trade back or go with the best cornerback available. And I think the Saints select Keely Ringo. Keely Ringo had a pretty challenging last season at Georgia. In my opinion, he had the toughest schedule out of any quarterback in all of college football, not just this year's draft. Only gave up 1 touchdown this past season, had 2 picks, and only gave up 41 receptions. Next up, we got the Tennessee Titans on the clock.
Where did Tennessee go in the first round again? Because I can't remember.
In the first round, Tennessee went Peter Skorinski.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go to wide receiver because their wide receiver core after trading Agent Brown was absolutely horrendous. It was terrible. And I really, really like this guy in particular, and Josh Downs. I think he can come in and make an impact. I feel like he's one of the most underrated receivers in this draft. So that's the guy I'm gonna go ahead and get.
Great pickup for them. He had 11 touchdowns this past season, 1,029 yards and 94 receptions. And Pro Football Focus gave him an 82.8 grade. Next up, we have the Packers on the clock.
And with the Packers, it's interesting position. It's funny that as soon as Aaron Rodgers leaves, they draft receiver first round, but it is how it is. And I do think that here they do go with a game changer. I watched him. I'm a Wolverines fan, so did they go with cornerback DJ Turner, and he's definitely gonna change that defense around there because he's definitely gonna be I believe a top three defensive player in this class by itself. So we'll see how it pans out, but I think that's the pick.
Definitely. DJ Turner only gave up 2 touchdowns this past season. And he had 1 pick, and he only gave up 33 receptions out of every cornerback who is in this year's draft, which I believe is the lowest. I have him coming off the board as well here in my second round. And now we have the Jets, which is going to be me. And I believe that the Jets select someone who's going to. Okay, never mind. They already got Broderick Jones. I believe the Jets will get Jack Campbell off the board. So a lot of other places that could go here in the draft, but you get Aaron Rodgers. You already got somebody to protect him in the first round. You got to go defense the next round. Next up, we got the Falcons on the clock.
Okay, well, their offensive line is very good, so I'm not worried about that. We went defense the first round. See, I kind of want to double down and go defense again. Why not? Gamble on the board is BJ Ojolari, so that's what I'm going to go with.
I think that's a great pickup for the Falcons. BJ Ojolari posted a Pro Football Focus grade this past season of a 76. He had 9 sacks, 14 hurries, and 20. I'm sorry, 14 hits and 26 hurries. BJ Ojolari to the Falcons. Nice move. Next up, we got the Packers on the clock.
And I'm with the Packers again. Honestly, I don't really see this happen. I think this happens more in third round, but we got to make it interesting for the people watching. So I feel like Jordan Love needs some pressure, and there is a quarterback out of Georgia that knows how to win. He's an older guy, but I think that the Packers go here, and they know how to develop quarterbacks. So I think that they start a little QB battle between Jordan Love and Stetson Bennett.
Definitely, Stetson Bennett's one of the most winningest quarterbacks available in this year's draft. He posted up 27 touchdowns with 7 picks on the season and 4,100 yards this past season, and he led the Bulldogs to a national championship. I definitely agree with you. If the Packers do select him, he will bring some heat to Jordan Love while also getting better. Next up, we got the Patriots on the clock, which is me. I do not have them selecting another quarterback, but I do have them selecting one of the best edge rushers in this year's draft, and they're getting I'm sorry, I could not pronounce your name, Thule, but Pro Football Focus gave him an 82 Pro Football Focus grade. He posted up 13 sacks this past season, 6 hits, and 37 hurries. Next up, we have the Commanders on the board.
Okay, well, I think the Commanders would they win quarterback in the first round, correct? So I'm gonna go ahead and go to the opposite side of the ball. I'm gonna go Will McDonald. I think they well, actually no, they have enough. Well, yeah, I'm gonna go Will McDonald. They just forgot that they didn't exercise Chase Young's 5th year option. There's no guarantee that they're gonna get a deal done with him. So why not come in and bring in a potential replacement?
Great take. And Will McDonald was given a 79 grade from Pro Football Focus. He posted 6 sacks on the season, 3 hits, and 16 hurries. Now we have on the clock the Lions.
Yes, and if I'm not mistaken, I think I've had all the Lions picks so far. So hopefully I'm making Lions fans proud. But I have gone defense with my previous picks, and I think right here you get a offensive lineman. He's a center. I think he's Ohio State. I think it's. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce his name for Whippler. Luke, yeah, Luke. I think you could plug him in any position in the O line, and he'll definitely be a team fit. And who doesn't need O line? Especially the Lions trying to protect Jared Goff. Getting the most out of him. So I think that's the pick right here.
Definitely. This guy only gave up 1 sack his entire collegiate career, 0 hits, and 7 hurries. He was a leader for the Buckeyes this past season, and I think the Lions could definitely use him. Next up, we have the Steelers on the clock, which is me. Now, right here with the Steelers, I believe they selected Joey Porter Jr. in that first round, so we're not going to go. We're not going to go DB here, but we will have a quick look at the tackles available. And I'm not too impressed. I think they could definitely still get a tackle in the third if they really need one. But I think they select the best player available. And in my opinion, it's Mozzie Smith. Mozzie Smith is the best player available here. Really surprised he fell this deep into the draft. Mozzie Smith is one of those D linemen that just takes up blocks. He only had 1 sack on the season, 5 hurries, and 5 hits and 19 hurries. Mozzie Smith is one of those guys that can definitely have an impact for the Steelers for years to come. Next up, we have the Bucks. You're on the clock.
If I'm not mistaken, Tampa Bay went offensive line the first round, correct?
I believe so, but let's double check here. No, I think they traded up. Yeah, they got Anthony Richardson.
Okay, well that changes everything. I'm gonna go offensive line, Steve Avila. Go ahead and protect him. Why would you go anywhere else? You got a young quarterback that still needs a little bit more development, but I like him. You go ahead and get him a rookie guard to pair up. They can develop together, train together, and just get it rolling.
Absolutely love that pickup for them. He didn't give up a single sack his past season. Pro Football Focus gave him a 71 grade. He gave up 2 hits on the quarterback, and there was only 9 hurries that Steve Avila gave up. Next up, we have the Dolphins with their first pick in this year's draft.
Yeah, and with the Falcons, I think that they stick with the kid from Miami. Um, like I said, I don't want to butcher his name. I don't know. I'm so bad with names, so I'm sorry, guys. And
You're
he's
good,
gonna
Tyreek.
definitely and Tyreek Stevenson. I don't know if it was like Tyreek like Hill, but there you go. You got two Tyreeks, and he's gonna come in, learn from Jalen Ramsey, as he's still younger, and hopefully he fits in with the team.
Definitely. Stevenson was one of those players that didn't really get thrown at a lot in college football. He did only give up 17 receptions. He gave up 3 touchdowns and had 2 picks. I think this is a player who can definitely uh, be one of those dark horses that you see, taken in the second or third round that has an immediate impact. And I think Stevenson can definitely learn a lot from Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard if he goes to the Dolphins. Next up, we have the Seahawks on the clock, which is me. And I believe this is their third pick, if I remember correctly. Paris Johnson and Tyree Wilson. Oh, that's excellent for them. Um, I believe that they try to get a player who's basically going to be a replacement because uh, gosh, I'm drawing a blank on dude's name. Their safety always gets injured every year, but Jamal Adams always gets injured every year, but he is an absolutely amazing player. And I think that they try to get a player who could definitely fill in a position for him. And I think that they get Antonio Johnson out of Texas A&M. Antonio, a lot of people have him as their second or third best safety in this year's draft. He did have an injury last year, but seems like he's pretty healthy. And he's going to be a player that makes an impact at the next level. Pro Football Focus gave him an 81.6 grade for his past season. We got the Bears on the clock.
I'm gonna go Felix and Duca, and whatever his name is, from Kansas State. I think that they need help on defense. They already went up and got what was it, offensive line in the first round. So why not go ahead and get some defense, help close out some games for Justin Fields.
Great pickup. Felix had 29 hurries this past season. He hit the quarterback 9 times and he had 8 sacks. Great pickup for them. Next up, we got the Chargers. You're on the clock.
For the Chargers, feel like they do go here with an offensive weapon, as I believe they've gone O line and defense, if I'm not mistaken. But um, I know everybody talks about Dalton Sincat and Michael Meyer, but Sam Laporta, I think he's right behind those guys right there. And they get a young tight end that can definitely block and hopefully develops into offensive weapon there with Justin Herbert.
Preach. Preach. I love the fact that you mentioned that he definitely can block. In my opinion, he's the best blocking tight end that can actually catch the ball in this year's draft. He posted up 56 receptions, just went down in 648 yards, and he had 1 touchdown the past year. Next up, we have the Lions with the second pick, or their second pick, or is this the third pick for them? Well, we got the Lions with their next pick in this year's draft. Yes, it's a third pick for them. And I have the Dolphins selecting another tight end off the board. In my opinion, Luke Musgrave just needs like a year to develop. They can definitely be one of these guys that we talk about for years to come. He did only have 11 receptions, and he had 1 touchdown on the season. But in my opinion, he's a prospect. He is a prospect, and he could be a game changer. Next up, we have the Jags. You're on the clock.
Okay, well, I would probably go with corn. Well, they went corner first round, correct?
No, I believe the Jags went Quentin Johnston.
Okay, well, I'll probably go corner right here and go Clark Phillips. I think he's the best corner left on the board, in my opinion. So why not go ahead and beefing up that defense again? You're in a stacked AFC, so you're gonna need that help.
Love this. Clark Phillips is my sleeper pick in this year's draft. He had 6 interceptions this past season. He only gave up 4 touchdowns, and he only gave up 41 receptions. Clark Phillips has the intangibles. He just got to put it together, and he can definitely do it. Next up, we have the Giants. You're on the clock.
And with the Giants, kind of like I have two guys that I think that would be a fit for them, and that's Cam Smith and safety from Alabama. I think Battle. But if Cam Smith is available at this rate, I think that they have to, no questions asked, just grab Cam Smith because he's going to be a great corner for them, and they do definitely need more defensive help as Daniel Jones has been developing.
Definitely. Now this past season, he did have a 65 Pro Football Focus grade, but the year before he had an 88.4. Cam Smith is officially off the board. I think that's a great pickup for them. Next up, we have the Cowboys. Did you want to take this one again?
Oh yeah, definitely. I can. That's not a problem with you.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I know we did go Jameer Gibbs in the first round, and I think here the guy I was talking about was Battle. I think we have some decent safeties, but we don't have that star safety, and I think Battle can develop into that star safety that we need and just develop the defense that's ready. I believe, not being biased, top 5 defense in the NFL. So I think Battle's a pick here.
Love this pickup for them. Battle was a part of that Christian side defense that was top 5 in all of the country last year. I think that he has the intangibles to be great at the next level. And DBs out of Alabama, man, they just have a way of making an impact in the NFL. And he can be one of those guys, especially playing for the Cowboys. Next up, we have the Bills, which is me. And I think that they will select a defensive lineman with this particular pick here. And oh man, Dayon Henley is here too, which in my opinion, out of everybody I looked at, he could be one of the best people available. But give me a quick second. Let me have a quick look at Drew Sanders is here too. It's a lot of linebackers. Um Whoa. Okay. I have the Bill selecting Drew Sanders here with this particular pick. Drew Sanders, he posted a Pro Football Focus grade of a 80 79. I was close. And I think he could definitely make an immediate impact for them. He's a plug and play type of guy, but with the Bill system, he may need a year just to sit down and kind of learn a few things. But I think that's a very solid future pick for the Bills. Next up, we have the Bengals. You're on the clock.
So where did the Bengals go in the first round again?
In the first round, the Bengals went Michael Mayer, tight end.
In his draft. Uh, and I'm gonna go Keon White.
Great pickup for them. Keon White, edge rusher out of Georgia Tech. He posted a Pro Football Focus grade of a 80 72. 7 sacks on the season, 4 hits, and 30 hurries. Just like I said before, anybody with 30 hurries had an amazing season last year in college football. Next up, we have the Bears on the clock.
Okay, for sure. And I think the Bears here, I mean, first, I think Volunteers fans are a little bit upset because they got two really good wide receivers still sitting there. And I think the Bears are going to grab one of them. They do need, I think they're going to develop under DJ Moore and just get more help for Justin Fields. And I'm just like torn apart between who to take. But I like Cedric Tillman a little bit more. So give Cedric Tillman, let him go to Chicago and hopefully he can do some things over there in that offense.
Definitely. If you don't mind me asking, who was the other wide receiver you were going back and forth with?
Believe it's height.
Yeah. Out of
Yeah,
Tennessee. Yeah, both
yeah,
teammates.
yeah. I mean, they're
Yeah,
sitting there. I feel bad for the fans, but they're both good. So whoever gets high, it's gonna also get a steal, I believe.
facts, facts. I loved both these guys. Watching their film was amazing. But in that Volunteers defense, they're going to have a lot to learn. But these guys have the tools to be great. Now, Pro Football Focus did give him only a 70.3 grade this past season, but I think he could definitely have an immediate impact. We have the Eagles here. Eagles track could take this last one, and I'll take the final pick in this year's draft.
Okay, so who do we have up on the board? Who am I
Yeah,
picking for? I can't
the
see because
Eagles.
everything's being blocked.
The Eagles.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna go. This is hard. There's a lot of good players left on the board. I'm gonna go tight end though. I've heard that they've been looking at tight ends. Actually, you know what? Back it up. Go to wide receiver. There's a player here that I really like. I think he's underrated. Jonathan Mingo. I think he's a big slot guy that you can come in, play him next to Devontae Smith, play him next to AJ Brown, and boost that offense up some more. Why not?
Facts. I absolutely agree. Jonathan Mingo was another one of my sleeper picks that you picked up here. He has it, man. He just has it. There's not too much more I got to say about Jonathan Mingo. Next up, we have the Chiefs. Now, last round, I believe that I selected a wide receiver. They moved up and selected Zay Flowers. So right here, I am going to have them select a defensive lineman. And there's two guys here that I think they could select, but let's have a look at the best player available as well. You know what? I think Andy Reid is gonna go best player available, man. Isaiah Foskey had an amazing career at Notre Dame, and yes, the Chiefs have a lot of edge rushers, but what's wrong with one more? He had 12 sacks this past season, 3 hits, and 18 hurries. Isaiah Foskey is the last player available in our draft. Thank you guys for both being here, and I really appreciate it. You can go ahead and give a final word to everybody who will check out this video. Thank you guys again.
Absolutely, it was a pleasure being here. I'm glad that you invited me back. Every single one that we've done, it's been successful. It's been fun. Like I said again, guys, you can follow me on Instagram at Eagles Track. I'm always posting the latest Eagles news, and I look forward to working with you again soon.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you having me on. First one, we're starting this page. Hopefully, we have our podcast out soon, and hopefully, you guys follow us as well. Wanted to let you guys know that both of you guys will be invited. We do a NBA mock draft. If you guys do watch basketball, if you guys are interested in that thing, later on this year, just hit me up, and you guys can definitely join us. And fans out there watching, if you guys want to watch an NBA mock draft, just follow us. And I appreciate having us on here.
Definitely. Again, I appreciate both of you guys, and you guys are experts, man. I'm glad nobody came in here and like selected BJ Ojolari top 10. I mean, it could have happened, but it's not something that I really expect to happen. So I really appreciate you guys for knowing what's going on, and you'll definitely catch me at that NBA draft. I watch basketball too, but I will be live again. If you guys want to join, you can. I'll give you the StreamYard link. For everybody that does watch this, thank you for your time. And please follow these guys, man, at Eagles Track and at Champagne Sports. Amazing Instagram pages. Subscribe to the channel, like and comment. It's your boy Adroit Talks. I'm out of here. All right.